We're just a couple of minutes past the official starting time, so that seems like a good time to get started. Thank you all very much for coming to the Open Government Mini-Conf. What we decided to do was have a day of panel discussions, primarily so that we could actually get in as much content and discussion as possible, because we wanted to make it so that everyone can contribute and capture a whole bunch of ideas. What I originally had, and I should just put up front, my name's Pia, for those who haven't met me. I should just put up front that a lot has changed since this Open Government Mini-Conf was actually first suggested, and I basically have had the last 2 months of my life completely robbed from me while trying to organise Tim Berners-Lee to come to Australia. So it's slightly less organised than I would normally like, but luckily we have amazing people in the community like Haneri, who's just down the front here, who massively picked up the pieces and helped pull it all together. So a huge thank you in advance to Haneri. Thank you very much from me. Yeah. It's really from me, but I'll make you thank him as well, so that works. What I wanted to do in the first case was this State of the Federation idea. So I'm going to give you just a bit of an idea of where things are at, and in particular how things have changed just over the last sort of 6 months, because a lot of things are actually starting to move fairly fast in Australia now. So I'll talk for probably only about 10 minutes, and then what I want to do is really get into this open discussion about what we want to see. Because how many people here are sort of involved in the open government or Gov 2.0 space in Australia at the moment? Anyone? A few. Okay, so just for the rest of you, first of all, yes, we completely understand the term Gov 2.0 is a stupid term. Yes, it is a stupid term, right? In the same way that Web 2.0 is a stupid term, in the same way that cloud is a stupid term, in the same way that social media expert is a ridiculous term. Fact is, there is a lot of drive around the world at the moment to try and do things different. There's a lot of theories as to why it started to take off, and the more optimistic people are like, oh, well, because people are starting to understand the value of freedom. Well, that's true, and that's nice, and that's all good. But it's also, there's actually a lot of things that have been simmering below the surface, though, for quite some time. And I'll give you one of the very practical, pragmatic examples. One of the things that's changed in the last 6 months since I put this mini-conf together was I've started now working in the federal government finally. I finally got my security clearance, which only took 17 months. And because, I'm a geek and I lived in China. But I've started working in the federal government, working for an agency that actually looks at whole of government technology. And as of the 4th of February, as of next Monday, I'll be working for the first ever whole of Australian government CTO. And we're going to be looking at a lot of this space, and I'm going to be given carriage of a lot of the whole of government Gov 2.0 agenda, which is actually very exciting. So part of what I want to do today, originally the idea was to sort of try and put down some pragmatic things that we want to see as a community, because I'm sick of having conversations about we just need to do more, let's define what it is that we want to do. But as a nice sort of follow-up to this, I'm going to be able, and in a useful position to actually go and implement some of this stuff and work collaboratively with the community, the existing and the growing community around this stuff. But the term Gov 2.0 kind of means three things. The term sort of open government, how it's come to mean from a modern sense of the word, because in the olden sense, of course, open government means just being transparent in how you do your parliament. Australia has one of the most transparent democracies in the world. Doesn't make it, as transparent as we'd like it, but it is absolutely one of the best in the world. I went to a conference 3 months ago and I met with people from 25 different countries, talking to them about open data, about parliamentary transparency, about what they're doing in public engagement sort of space. And some countries were actually in the process of rolling back their freedom of information laws, in the process of trying to actually make more secret the way that their parliaments work. It was really quite scary, and it was a good reason to appreciate, I guess, where we have it here at the moment, even though we can always do better, of course. But the opportunity, so the three things that it kind of are is transparency, so open data. There is so much government data that is generated just as a matter of course of government, for which there are not privacy implications, or you can actually, make it reasonably de-identified, and you have to go through appropriate processes and all that kind of stuff for sure. But if we can get more of that data available, not only can we create better policy across government and actually have governments, having better informed, departments being better informed right across the spectrum, but, as the public, we can actually, do better analysis and better investigation and actually make sure that what's being talked about is what's being delivered effectively. The second thing is about public engagement. rather than governments trying to come up with all the answers all the time, we really are at a point now in history where individuals are more empowered than ever before. We can come up with the solutions ourselves, we can connect with our peers, we can develop the skills, we can work with people all around the world to solve things in new and interesting ways. So if government doesn't actually engage people with people in the process of developing how they're going to do things or how we're going to do things in future, then it's very hard to respond in a quickly and usefully way, dare I say agile way. It's very hard to make sure that new emergencies and new opportunities that come up, we're able to effectively engage with, I guess. So public engagement is all about not just sort of writing the policy and then telling people how it is, but actually writing the policy collaboratively with people and then co-developing, I guess, the future together. The third area of, is what they like to call citizen-centric services. Has anyone heard this term before? Yeah, a few of you. Okay. For those that haven't, what it basically means is rather than having a situation where I'm a department and I have this service, and so I'm going to build a website and you can come and create a login and you can access this service, and then times that by every unit in every government department in every government, because we have 3 layers here, which of course makes it even more complicated. But as a citizen, I don't care which department is actually delivering a particular service. I want to say, you know what, I don't even trust you as the government. I want to be able to put in my postcode only, and you tell me what health services are available to me, or you tell me what whatever sort of services are available to me. Maybe at some point I'll create a login, and if I do, then I need to know that I am in charge of my own data, and I need to make sure that the data, I need to trust that the system is going to do what the system's going to do. But I want to engage with government as a single entity. Now, government, particularly federal government, is not in the habit of thinking of itself as a whole entity. It tends to think of itself in lots and lots of little departments and such. And but citizen-centric services is the concept of putting the citizen at the center of the design of how it's going to operate. So basically, it's a lesson in empathy, weirdly enough. But basically saying, well, how would I want to use this? Because if and Canberra is actually, how many people here live in Canberra? Oh, great. You will all be very, aware of the Canberra Connect service. So you've got an online service. You can go and you can change your address, and it automatically changes your address in all the systems that you're registered in for the Canberra government, for the state/local government in the region. No one else does that. Basically, none of the other states, and certainly federal, you don't really have that possibility. And even though it's a very small thing, it's an example of what you can do when you start to actually have, again, appropriately done, but cross-departmental approach to actually dealing with citizens in a consistent, single way. So, those 3 things. And the 3 things have been coming along. We had the Gov2O task force a few years ago now, about 4 years ago now, I guess it was, which came out with a whole bunch of recommendations. A lot of those recommendations have been implemented. And I'm very happy to be able to say that a huge amount of progress actually has been made. You always want it to be made more, but we now have lots of interest in open data, lots of interest in public engagement. There's hundreds of sort of accounts on various different social media where they're actually being effectively used by government departments and agencies to actually talk to people, not just to talk at people. There's a lot of better actual consultations going online. There's open data projects have been a little bit slow to kick off, and Data.gov.au, kicked off a few years ago, but it's still in very early phases. We'll be fixing that soon, but there's data projects happening all around the country, which is very exciting. And there's this whole citizen-centric design is starting to really take off as well, because departments have been under pressure to do more with less for a long time. So what's happened is that the way that they've done things hasn't really fundamentally changed in a lot of years. It's just been, squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. But the expectations of the people has fundamentally changed. So we need to change the way that we do services delivery. Otherwise, people just won't basically use our services where they can get away with it. So, and where they don't need to. So we need to actually change the way that so there's a lot of money actually going in now to trying to change service delivery and start to see this concept, which I love, of government as an API. If you see your data as an API, if all of the services that you provide are provided as an API, and in this room we'll understand what that means more than most, then you've got the possibility of saying, okay, well, let's do a health service that just talks to all these, a health aggregated service that talks to all the APIs of all the different service and all the different data providers, whichever department they're in, and now you can actually create a thematic approach to government. Is this making sense? Yeah? So I mean, this government as an API thing is really starting to take off. Of course, you need to explain what API means in the first case to half the people I need to talk to about it, but once they start to get it, then I think we have a better opportunity.